Okay, so we have pure 2 binomial expansion. This is the specification that we have here. So sequences and series is 4.5. We're going to be expanding a plus bx to the power of n, where n is a positive integer. If it's fractional or negative, we'll be looking at that in pure 4. Okay, question number 1. This is a typical type of exam question. So, find the first 3 terms in ascending powers of x of the binomial expansion. It just wants the first 3 terms in ascending powers of x. So we know we're going to have 7c0, 7c1 and 7c2, because that's the first 3 terms. Ascending powers of x means we want x to start and the powers to go up. So we know then that our powers need to go up like this. And then we're going to multiply this by 2 to the power of 7, 2 to the power of 6, and 2 to the power of 5. Okay, so this is now going to enable us to get our thing. So 7c0 times 2 to the power of 7. So we're going to get 1 times 1 times 2 to the 7, which is 128. Okay, so we're going to have 128 as our first term. Then 7c1 is 7 times minus x over 2 times 2 to the power of 6, which is 64. Okay, so now I can multiply that together. 64 times 7 divided by 2. And remember, it's a negative, so we're going to get negative 112x. Then 7c2, 7c2 is 21, multiplied by, now this is going to give us x squared over 4, because we're squaring the whole of minus x over 2 squared. And then 2 to the power of 5 is 32. 21 times 32 divided by 4. So we're going to get plus 168x squared plus ... We've now found the first 3 terms. And as you can see, 4-mark question, it's taken 2 minutes. Now for part B, it says explain how you would use your expansion to give an estimate for the value of 1.995 to the power of 7. Well, what do we notice? We notice they're both to the power of 7. So essentially, we could say this is equal to this. So if we did 2 minus x over 2 equals 1.995 and rearrange this, so we're going to take away 2 from both sides, which equals negative 0.005. Multiply both sides by 2, negative 0.01. And then obviously divide both sides by negative, so I get x equals 0.01. So what would I actually do? I would substitute x. So substitute x equals 0.01 into our expansion. Okay, so we'd substitute this into here to get an estimate. Just realised I made a mistake. 7 times 64 divided by 2 is 224. So this is minus 224 over x. Okay, perfect. Okay, question 3 is really similar to question 1 in terms of the first part. Just make sure that you take the minus with it. So the first 3 terms, 10c0 multiplied by minus x over 4 to the power of 0 times 2 to the power of 10. 10c1 times minus x over 4 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 9. And then 10c2 times minus x over 4 squared times 2 to the power of 8. So when I work this out, I'm going to get 1 times 1 times 2 to the power of 10, which is 1024. For the second one, I'm going to get 10 times negative x over 4 times 2 to the power of 9, which is 512. So 512 times 10 divided by 4 is going to give us negative 1280x. And for the last one, 10 shift C2 is 45 multiplied by minus x over 4 squared. Remember, this is positive x squared over 16 times 2 to the power of a, which is 256. So this times 45 divided 16 is 720x squared plus ... So nice and easy, 4 marks in less than 2 minutes. Okay, so question 4. This one is 9 marks, so it is a bit harder. However, we're going to use all of our skills and we're going to complete it, yeah? So find the first three terms in ascending powers of x of the binomial expansion, given each term in its simplest form. So we know that this part is going to be really easy, okay? And I'm just going to do it up here. So we're going to have 4c0 times, it wants ascending powers, so minus 9x to the 0 times 2 to the power of 4. Then we're going to get plus 4c1 times minus 9x to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 3 plus 4c2 times minus 9x squared times 2 to the power of 2. So we're going to get 1 times 2 to the 4, which is 16. Then we're going to get plus 4 times negative 9 times, this is going to be a negative, minus 36 times 8, which is minus 288x. Then we know we're going to get positive because we're going to square that negative, so plus 4c2 is 6. 6 times 81 times 4. We get 1,944 x squared. And then obviously we know the next is going to be minus an x cubed plus ... Okay, but you can just put plus ... even though we know it will be a negative. Okay, so that's the first part of the question, nice and easy. Now, the second part of the question says, f of x equals 1 plus kx, 2 minus 9x to the power of 4. Now, we notice these are the same, okay? Remember, binomial is all about what we notice. We notice they're the same. It says, in the expansion of ascending orders of x, up to including the x squared term, is this, okay? So let's think about how we get this. So first of all, we know that f of x is the same as saying 1 plus kx multiplied by 16 minus 288x plus 1944x squared plus ... Okay, we've just written it the same but different. Same but different. Yeah? So, we want to know, we can sit there and expand it all, however, we need to be a bit clever, okay? So this is how we're going to be clever. So we know we need all of the terms up to x squared. So first of all, I'm going to do this. A, the only way to make A is to do 1 times 16. There is no other way. Because if you think about it, I do 1 times 16, 1 times minus 288, 1 times this value. Okay, and then I do kx times 16. This is the only way to get A. Okay, where there is no x, absolutely. So we know that A is 1 times 16, which is just 16. Okay, then we know the coefficient of x, so I'm just going to write x here, okay? But I mean the coefficient of x. How can I ever do that? Well, I can do that by doing, oh, that was not a highlighter, 1 times this x value, okay, which is minus 288x, or I could do I could do kx times 16, which is plus 16kx. Obviously, we're not worried about the x's because we're just looking at coefficients. Now, we know that this is minus 232, so minus 232 must equal minus 288 plus 16k. So I'm going to add 288 to both sides. So minus 232 plus 288 equals 56. So 56 equals 16k. Divide both sides by 16. 7 over 2 equals k, or 3.5. However, we're going to leave it as 7 over 2. So that's how we get this one. 7 over 2 equals k. Perfect. Then lastly, okay, we need to figure out b. So b is the number in front of the x squared, okay? How can we make this number b? Well, let's think about this. We know our 1 multiplied by our x squared is going to give us an x squared value, okay? So we already know we're going to have 1944x squared. Then we also know, like we carried on expanding. How else could we get it? We could also get it by doing kx multiplied by minus 288x, because x times x gives us x squared. So I'm going to put minus 288kx squared. Now again, we don't really care about these x squareds because we're just looking at the coefficients, as long as those are the only ways to get the x squareds. So then, b equals, okay, equals 1944 minus 288k. What did we say k was? 7 over 2. So I'm going to put 7 over 2 in. Okay. So 1944 minus 288 times 7 over 2 equals 936. So there we have it. We've now worked out our A, K, and B. Nice, easy, 9 marks, and we've done it in less than 7 minutes. Okay, question 6. Everyone should be happy expanding everything now. So let's pretend we did all that. Okay, so the first one, we're going to get 2 to the power of 10. So then we should get 1024 plus 1280x plus 720x squared plus 240x cubed plus ... Okay, so we're just doing the first 4 terms in ascending order. Now we have this. Part B is where we're going to now focus on. So now it says use your expansion to find an estimate for the value of this number. Now we notice the powers are the same, so we can say that this equals the same. So we know that 2 plus x over 4 equals 2.025. So x over 4 equals 0.025. So x equals 0.1. Perfect. So now we have 0.1. We're going to substitute this into our expansion. So we're going to have 1024 plus 1280 bracket 0.1. Remember, this is a 3-mark question. You have to show this working out. Plus 720 0.1 squared plus 240 0.1 cubed. Right, we're going to put that into our calculator and we're going to get an answer. Okay? 1159.44. Now, the most important part of this question, it's worth 3 marks. Please, can you say 2.025 to the power of 10 is approximately 1159.44, okay? And we've written that last part right there. Okay, so for question 7, we're going to focus on B and C. So part A, the answer to this is... Okay, so here is the expansion, 1024 minus 640x plus 180x squared. Now, part A is done. It says f of x is this multiplied by a plus bx, where a and b are constants. So, what do we notice? We notice that this is the same as this. So technically, we could say that f of x is equal to a plus bx, all multiplied by 1024 minus 640x plus 180x squared plus ... We've just rewritten this obviously in expanded form. Now it says, given the first two terms in the ascending powers of x in the series of the expansion are 2, 5, 6 and 3, 5, 2x. So it means when we expand this out, f of x expanded is equal to 256 plus 352x plus ... So how can we actually, what do we multiply to do that? We know the only way to make a constant is to multiply the two constants together. So step one, we know that 256 must equal a times 1024. So to find a, I'm going to divide by 256 divided by 1024. 256 divided by 1024, and I get a quarter. So a is a quarter, so that's step one done. Then, the next is, how do I achieve x? Well, there's two ways to achieve x. I can do my constant multiplied by my value with the x in. So that is minus 640 ax, or I can do my bx multiplied by this constant, which is plus 1024bx. And we know that this equals 352x. Now, as I said, we're not going to worry about these x's because we're just focusing on the coefficients. We already know what a is, so we know this is minus 640 lots of a quarter plus 1024b equals 352. So now it's just a case of simple rearranging. So 640 times a quarter is 160, so that's negative 160 equals 1024b equals, plus 1024b equals 352. I'll add 160 to both sides. I'm going to get 1024b equals 512. Divide both sides, I'm going to get a half. So b equals a half. So there we go. Question 7. Nice and easy. It's all about thinking to yourself, okay, if I do a times this one, I just have my constant. If I did a times this number, I'm going to have a number with a coefficient of x. If I do a times this one, I'm going to get my x squared. We know once we've done the first term multiplied by every term, the only other way is this times this is going to give me a coefficient of x. This times this, coefficient of x squared. This one times this one is going to give me the coefficient of x cubed. Okay? Question 8. Another type of problem-solving question. So we need to be able to expand this, so we're going to expand this as quickly as possible. Okay? It wants the first three terms of 2 plus ax to the 6. So we're going to get 6c0 times 2 to the 6 times ax to the 0. Okay, we know this is just going to give us 2 to the power of 6 plus 6c1 times 2 to the 5 times ax to the 1. And then we're going to have 6c2 times 2 to the power of 4 times ax all squared. Okay, so the first one, we're going to have 2 to the power of 6, which is 64. Then we're going to have 6 times 2 to the power of 5, which is 192ax, because that's to the power of 1, plus 6c2, 6c2 It's 15 times 2 to the power of 4, which is 240 times ax all squared, which is a squared x squared, plus dot dot dot. So there's our first part, and we've given everything in the simplest form. It then says, given that in the expansion the coefficient of x, so my coefficient of x is here, this equals to the coefficient of x squared, find the value of a. So this is really nice and easy, so we can make them equal to each other. Equals 240a squared. If you want, you can turn this into a quadratic. 240a squared minus 192a equals 0. I would highly suggest turning it into a quadratic, because if you divide both sides by a, you might get into a habit of forgetting that if we divide both sides by a, that technically a equals 0 is still a solution. However, we reject it because it says a is a non-zero constant. So that means that a equals 0 or a equals 4 over 5. However, we're going to reject the 0. Okay, because we always refer back to the question. So my a is 4 over 5. Okay, and I just solved this in my calculator using quadratic. You could factorise, do whatever you prefer. Okay, so question 9. Let's start expanding this. So 1 plus px to the power of 8. And we just want the first three terms. So the first term is 8c0 times 1 to the power of 8 times px to the power of 0. Plus 8c1 times 1 to the power of 7 times px to the power of 1. Plus 8c2 times 1 to the power of 6 times px to the power of 2. So I'm going to get 1 plus 8px plus 28 p squared x squared plus dot dot dot. Okay, so we can see here, when we look at what we know, they both have a 1. Check. Okay, they have a 12 is the coefficient of x. I have 8p. So my first equation is 12 equals 8p. So therefore, p equals 12 divided by 8, which is 6 over 4, 3 over 2. Then the next thing I notice is that q equals 28p squared. So that means q equals 28p squared. We know what p is. So q equals 28 lots of 3 over 2 squared. So there we go. So q equals 63. Nice and easy, 5 marks. That now you can see we're getting in under 2 minutes. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe.